in that book, like it made me like realize like this is, I know this doesn't sound weird, but it made me realize like I can like escape into my own world. Or like create your own world. I know I'm really late on realizing that, but now I see why them fantasy kids was always in the corner of the classroom reading the books, because like it's really giving something. Like I be loving these fantasy books now. Like now I'm that kid in the corner of the store or whatever. Like
sometimes it don't make no sense. Does it really have to? There is nothing I can say.
hi, welcome to Mayowa's world. Okay, you all, I want to thank everyone for all the comments on my last video about shaving and body hair. I really enjoy reading all the comments. You know how like there's this like meme where someone writes a really long like essay and then somebody writes like, I don't know who's gonna read all that. I love reading text. I love it. So I'm really happy that you all like to write text because it works very well with me. Today, before I even talk about what we're gonna do today, I'm almost at 40,000 subscribers. Like that makes me really excited. I feel like I have been on this YouTube journey for so long and I really like where things are going. I feel very comfortable with everything I talk about. It feels very natural for me, the things I'm talking about. And I'm just fortunate that I'm not in a feeling boxed in or feeling like my content can't grow or pivot. Because as you know, I talk about like a range of things on my profile. Hold on, I need to get my fan. I'm not somebody who just talks about like one thing. Like I literally just be feeling something and I move. And also too with my YouTube, I don't have any sponsorships. I don't do any collaborations. So I'm just really happy that you all, watch my videos, engage, and like I feel like there's like a one-to-one. Like I just feel, making YouTube has been like one of my greatest achievements because I just like that I'm able to share my thoughts and learn from the comments and be in a great community of people who make me feel very comfortable. So if you're one of my subscribers, I want to thank you all for just supporting me. Today we're actually going to do a book review, but I'm not no average girl, right? We're doing a book review, but it's gonna be a glamour. She's giving you glamour book review, okay? She's giving you glamour book review with no electricity. She's giving you gowns. She's giving you gowns. You can't see it, but I'm actually wearing a gown because I thought to myself, I used to buy stuff to go to clubs or go out, and then I'm like, who am I playing? I'm not going nowhere. All I do is stay at home and read books these days. So I really like getting dressed up to talk about some of these juicy ass books. Before I talk about the books, I wanted to talk about my social media presence or lack thereof. Because since the new year, I've actually just been off social media, which has been very nice for me because I felt like my mind was really overwhelmed. I felt very responsive and I started to just see that certain things would just get me really mad. I started to feel like I was being kind of like privately pessimistic. You know what I'm saying? Like you ever see them videos that be like, this 9-year-old learned how to read a book and went to college and now they're doing their PhD, and it's like this little cute little 9-year-old boy. I be looking at him like college isn't even all that great. Like I just feel like somehow it's like, I don't know, something about the development of something about like social media wanting to promote like a lot of black joy, but then also showing a lot of like black death and like something about it, somehow it was making me feel like I was getting too many receptors, too many things going on. I wasn't feeling so comfortable. So I took a break and it's been really great because I've been writing a lot, and with my writing I just feel more connected to hearing my own voice and like seeing what is like on my mind, especially too because some of the content I make topical content sometimes. Topical contents like take a lot out of me, as in like, okay, I'm not like a topical content kind of girl. Like I don't talk about everything and I'm not like always on trend, but doing that kind of work is really hard because it feels like you're like, it's like you're talking about stuff that pisses you off, but like sometimes you're kind of going out of your way to find it. And sometimes even just talking about things that piss you off, like I don't really want to do it. So I kind of dip in. Like if something really moves me, You know, like how I felt when I saw the Thames and like the Whiz Kid. I don't know if you've seen that video that I've done. That really moved me. Or talking about colorist apologies really moved me. But it's hard for me to really stay on the ball about like, you know, I'm sure you can tell by my topical videos, like I'm talking about it because it's just something that I've been thinking about for the past couple of days, and I think, you know what, let me film. But if I was gonna do that full time, like, you know, those videos like reach people, but doing it full time or doing it like a lot is hard, it's heavy. So I've been taking a break, and I've been just like really out of social media, which I think to some people will probably be like, oh, that's really bad. Like, you've taken a long break off social media, like nobody knows where you are, like I'm not even posting. But you know, the thing about being in Nigeria for me is like when I'm here, I feel like I have a life that's just like in real, like I'm touching people. I'm not touching people, but like, you know what I'm saying? I'm touching things. Like I feel like I have a life that's like not related to being online, and I really enjoy that. So I think a part of my distance from social media has just been really me grounding myself here and just kind of enjoying that quietness. Because even though Lagos is very, very busy, there's a certain kind of loneliness that you feel here. I don't know if anyone else has felt it in Nigeria. Let me know if you're Nigerian, but it's like there's so many people around, there's so much noise, but like you're just like it also your guard is up even higher. At least for me, like my guard is up even higher, you know, 'cause I'm living here by myself. So somehow there's like a lot more loneliness. And at first I was fighting it. I'm sure you guys were seeing the video I was talking about, oh, it's hard being lonely. But then now, you know what I'm saying, I found books. So now I'm like actually totally fine because my book discovery has really been doing something for me. So yeah, that's my social media break. Now I'm gonna do a book review on all the books that have really been shaking me up, that have been really giving me life. So I'm trying to think how I should do this because I want to talk about my most exciting book first. But I feel like if I talk about the most exciting book first, you're not gonna stay to the end. So I'm gonna talk about like one of the most exciting books, and then we're gonna get to the most exciting book. First book, recommended. Okay, all these books are by Nigerian writers. Let me start there. But, which is cool because I just like that it takes place in different time periods. I feel like I'm reading books by Nigerian women have actually just given me so much insight into Nigerian culture that I never knew about. It also helps me understand like my family, like certain things, like, and so most of the books I'm reading is by Yoruba writers. But you know, I've had a couple, you know, I read some really good Igbo books, like books by Igbo writers as well. And if anyone has any other recommendations of like books by like Nigerian women who aren't, or Nigerian people who are non-binary as well, who aren't Yoruba and Igbo, like Hausa and Do, like I would really like to know because these books is good. But anyway, the first book we're gonna talk about is called Stay With Me. This book, my God, such an emotional book. Okay, so I'm gonna try and like do these book reviews without giving you a spoiler. I've also like never watched a book review, so I don't even know the format, but I'm gonna do it how it's like if I'm talking to like a homegirl or something, or like talking about like what I feel. So this book is about a woman who is married to a man, and the woman is struggling with fertility. She's struggling with getting pregnant. I don't know if you guys know, and I think definitely Nigerian culture, I would even expand to African culture, the pressures you put on women to give birth is unreal. It's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. And I think one thing I've learned from reading books by Nigerian women is the amount of unfairness, and just seeing that like it's not, you know, because sometimes you think, is it just me? Is it my friends? Then you're like, it's been going on since the dawn of time, and like all these books make me just feel so emotional about patriarchy, because living in America or like growing up in America, I think sometimes you think about like your dream world and how like, oh, you're like, oh, if I just had a space where everybody was black, you know, it would be like this. And then being in Nigeria is like a space where like literally everybody, like pretty much everybody's black. But then like the patriarchy like we are losing the fight of like patriarchy is whooping our ass. And all these books kind of really reveal this to me, because it's about a woman who's married to a man. She's trying to get pregnant, but she's not able to get pregnant. And like she keeps, how do I say this without ruining the book? She keeps experiencing the loss of a child and what that does to you psychologically while also having the pressure to keep producing. And then in the book, there's like a wild secret that I don't want to ruin for you all because I want you all to get the book, stay with me. Also, mind you, none of this is sponsored. I don't know none of these authors or whatever. I'm just telling you books by like what's making me feel. But the plot twist towards the end, it really did. And I just feel like I felt for her. I really felt for someone who is wanting to have kids so badly, it's just not working out. Your husband's stupid mother is bringing in another second wife. All these books made me feel so emotional, especially when women, you know, like just a lot of these books focus on like the stress that women feel when a second wife is brought in, or a third wife, or a fourth wife, and like how unfair that is, and like how sometimes I think we speak in a glorified way about polygamy or like polyamory of our parents' generation, when in reality it was actually fucking hell. And like having, I don't know if you guys have parents who grew up in polygamous households or aunties or whatever, it's given reality TV Niger edition. That's just, it never ends. It's like a reality TV show that's just so I really feel like this book, stay with me, definitely listen. I don't know how to do these kind of things, but like if y'all read this book or read my books or whatever, and then you guys want to go and talk about it, because I had so much to say. Like, fuck Instagram. The characters in this book juicier than any of the YouTube or Instagram followers, like people who are messy, but like in a good way, but just drama filled. It's giving. They should make a movie. Okay, I don't know. Sometimes making movies out of books be horrible, but this would be a good, like, it's just good. I don't know if I'm selling this to y'all, but I swear down, it's a great book. That's all I can say. I swear down, it's a great book. Second book. Okay, so this book is gonna go into 2 parts or whatever because it's a 2-part book, but I don't have the other part of the book. Like I had the second book, but I lended it to a friend or whatever. But it's gonna be like the Tomi Adeyemi, the Children of Virtue and Vengeance, and like the Children of Blood and Bones. Wow, book really shook me. At first when I was reading it, I was like, where is this going, kind of thing. Like the first couple pages, I was like, she was like a fighting scene. I was like, where is this going? But when it kicks off, it's really kicking off, and it gets good. I like the way she writes. I feel like she writes in a very like mad, like she's not, you know, some people be writing and they be talking about a tree and they be like, the bark of the tree rippled in ripples of waves of dark skin mahogany. Like, I hate people like, bro, I don't care about the trees, give me the drama. And that book was definitely giving like a lot of fighting scenes, a lot of like fantasy. It was really making me feel like, that's my first like fantasy book since like, I don't know, I was like 8 or something, like James and Giant Peach or whatever. In that book, like it made me like realize like I know this doesn't sound weird, but it made me realize like I can like escape into my own world. Or like create your own world. I know I'm really late on realizing that, but now I see why them fantasy kids was always in the corner of the classroom reading the books, because like it's really giving something. Like I be loving these fantasy books now. Like now I'm that kid in the corner of the store or whatever. Like them fantasy books it's amazing. And like between like the first book and the second book, like people told me they didn't like the second book so much. I feel like the second book was also good. Like I know it makes me want to have the third one, but I feel like I fucked up with how I was reading the book because I took a really long break. So when I tried to finish the second, I read the first book really quickly, A+. Then in the second book, from the beginning of it to like in the middle, I took a break like for like 2 weeks. When I read it again, I feel like I wasn't really understanding like what was going on. But personally, this might be a spoiler, so I'll put like a little, I don't know, like thing. But the main character, her loving that little boy, Einen, that shit was driving me off. I wanted to pull her. Talk about a fuckboy in a book. First off, you over here trying to love up on your oppressor's people. Like his people directly was killing your family, and you still want to be laying up with him? I just feel like she needed a girl like me to just shake her out and be like, girl, me. And not even gonna lie to you, like even her and that other girl's friendships, there was many times where she was like about to end her life or whatever, and she didn't. And I was like, girl, you're better than me. Because if it was me, I'm not. She took way too many chances with that girl. But you know, obviously this book isn't about me. It's about how I would handle it. But sometimes, but also too, I feel like, okay, the spoiler alert is done. In this book, there was like so much like fighting. I feel like she was just getting drugged through the mud like half time, but somehow she would always be winning them little battles that she was doing. But I'm like, girl, you just really like, you don't get a break. But it was really good. It makes my mind feel really imaginative. I asked you guys what some of your like other fantasy books was, and you wrote it in like a couple videos ago, so I'm gonna try and like read it. This is also a pause to say like, listen, if there's any other books, you know, I think for me it's really cool reading books by Nigerian women because I'm understanding the history better, I'm understanding myself better, I'm understanding my culture. But if anyone like African, who's like, and you have authors that are black, dark skinned preferably, or that's like monoracially, visibly black, I want to read because I just think it's so great learning about all these different times. Okay, then there's a book I read called Girl with the Louding Voice. I'll put a picture because I also I did a book exchange with a friend. And that book was also very good as well. It's a book about someone who was sold, I don't know if I should do a content warning mentioning of like child brides and stuff like this. But it's about a girl who was sold to an ugly ass old man to be the wife. Some shit went down that was definitely very drama filled. She had to escape, and she ends up being a house girl, someone who's cleaning and lives in the house to like a really rich woman in Lagos. So it's like her from being from like a village in like I don't know where the village is, but she's Yoruba, and then she now goes to Lagos, and so like just that transition of being from like a small town to like a really fast-paced, busy city. And it's once again another book that focuses on the fact that women are expected to just produce, give children, and just how that goes for her. Then, if you made it to the end, the last book, this book right here, this book made me feel so emotional. I think this might be one of my most emotional feelings. When I finished this book, I had to go for a walk. I was fuming. I was angry, but an anger that was affirming for what I want to do in my life. The joys of motherhood. I dropped the book, guys. This book is about a woman so this book deals with like a lot of Igbo culture, Igbo spirituality that I really, really, really like, because I love learning about Igbo spirituality, especially because I feel like it definitely doesn't have as much like discourse as Yoruba spirituality does, which I think is pretty like has reached it's just spoken about a lot more. So I like that it dealt with Igbo spirituality, and it also dealt with Nigeria, I think between the time of like 1890 to like 1930s. So like the rise of like the start of Christianity, the rise of its popularity. And it's about a girl who her mother, no, how do I even say this? Essentially it's about a girl who's chi. And in Igbo culture, like chi is like very deep. I feel like I can give like a small understanding of what I know, but if you ever want to go into like understanding Igbo culture, like research what like chi is into depth, because it's actually really beautiful. But I think the way it translates to is like a personal God, but like God in all West African spirituality is very deep. It's not like this, like it's not like Jesus. It's like something like really, really deep. Your chi is like who decides when you die. It also decides like the positive things that happen. When you die, it also decides like the positive things. It's like I feel like similar for Yoruba people, maybe like your Ori, but like it's like the thing that is like deciding, like it's deep if you understand it. But anyway, her chi is someone who has been enslaved in her family lineage, and they kind of questioned if her chi had good intentions for her. This book made me understand like all the African aunties that people like to like, you know, when people be like, oh, African aunties be so annoying, da 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 da. I feel like this book showed me the progression of like what happens mentally. Because I realize that a lot of times, like African aunties that love to get on our fucking nerves is like a lot of trauma. But I feel like on the receiving end of getting hate or jealousy or bullying from kind of elders, I feel like we simplify what that is. But the book to me showed, because in the beginning she seemed so hopeful, and the book kind of follows her along her life from like being before she was even born to after she dies. And it just kind of shows that a lot of times the things that women wanted for themselves, they end up like, how do I say this? The things that they like wish that they had, when they didn't have it, it's like they shame others for it. Like, okay, so she was like pressured into having like a son. She had so much pressure into having a fucking son. And she knew what it was like to be bullied and pressured and have depression because she's not producing a son. And then when she saw someone who wasn't producing a son, she would shame them. And she was like, I actually feel better about myself. And it was showing this like complex thing of like the same things that was horrible that happened to her, she'd like do to people later in her life. And it just kind of reminded me on a basic level the ways in which like women suffer. Like systematically, like beyond just like, you know, when I think of patriarchy, I think of like, oh, getting paid less than men, or like, oh, them talking over me, or like mansplaining. You know, you think of these, or colorism and how that plays out. But there's like on a foundational level, like before you even learn to talk, like there's so much stuff, there's so much patriarchy that happens before your birth. As in, is your family even happy that you're by the gender that has been assigned to you? Are they even happy with that? Are they what you know? Because a lot of people are not happy when they have daughters. Like I actually really be so shook by that, and like what happens if you can't produce a child? What happens if you can't? All the things, like if you're not happy with your husband having a second or third wife. And it's like, for me, you know, I'm gay, so like reading all these like straight narratives just helps me understand what my people have gone through generationally, and just how much pressure and stress and trauma is like combined onto us. And what I really liked about The Joys of Motherhood is I think it shows you in African culture, West African culture, let me say that. I'm sure it's all African, but I just try to speak to what I know. But like in West African culture, like your beginnings is not just like with you. It's like, it's like what happened before, what happened during your conception, what happened before you, what are your parents' debts, what are your parents' trauma? It's like, it's not just you, it's like a line of so many things that lead up to your birth. And I think this book really showed like how that affects you, how that aligns with you, and even making the person who was enslaved by her family, the chi, and the person who's determining things for her, and sometimes even sabotaging her. That's so deep to me, and the writer is amazing. The only thing I didn't like was how tiny the font is. As a dyslexic, like that's really hard to read. But because it was so good, I've been reading it, and I it makes me so sad that the author is even dead, because like she lived it to be old, I think. But she just was such a great, like I want to read more of her books. Like she was so incredible. So like those are my book recommendations. It's okay. So that's my favorite book. Sorry, The Joy of Motherhood was my favorite book. So I saved it for the last. But like all 5 of those books, like those books they're gonna shake your life. Like really, like I've been really in my book bag, like. And I'm gonna try and get more. I want to get this. Oh my god, I forgot her name. I'm gonna write her name here. But you all recommended her the most for like fantasy. I don't really know where to get her books in Lagos, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to like get her books here. But I'm still in my fantasy bag. Like I'm still looking for more books. Like all my books are like dried up now, so I'm feeling a bit antsy. But I'm gonna get on it. I love this this book world. Like it's so cool. But let me know. I would love to do like some kind of discourse. Like if any of y'all have read any of the books, like let me know in the comments. Like if you have books, again, just recommendation more than the last couple videos. If you have any book recommendations, you write them below. Like let's talk. Let's chat it out. So have a great day. Bye.